The Indiana Pacers prove once again they are the only NBA team that could survive a nuclear winter. They never die. But are the Knicks still the better team? The NBA names a new MVP. Locked On Wolves thinks they found the weak link in OKC's defense. And we go fishing for NBA offseason intel. That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, it's Matt Moore. Matt, this is my first year covering the NBA playoffs this closely for Locked On NBA. Is it always like this?
No, it is not. Last year was a snooze, and I'm so thankful for these playoffs. Haize, I think this is going to be one that we're going to remember forever. Be like, remember the 2025 playoffs? That was insane. I think that's how we're going to talk about these playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a wild ride, literally from start to finish. It's been so unexpected, so great. Every single night is something crazy that happens. Let's hope that it continues.
I just want to sit in all of these moments as we begin this show. I've got a ton of questions. We got to hear from Tony East of Locked On Pacers. And we'll hear from the team over at Locked On Wolves or Locked On Knicks as well. But just your favorite moments, Haize, from last night's game.
I mean, it has to be that whole fourth quarter run by the Indiana Pacers was just it was crazy. I had walked away with 2 minutes left. I think the Knicks were still up like 12 or 14 with like 2 minutes left. I walked away to talk to my son, and I came back. I was like, what is going on here? Because they had got the lead down by like 6 at that point in time. And it like that whole entire run, Nesmith stepping up the way that he had, of course the last shot into in regulation by Tyrese Haliburton. It was just it was a crazy fourth quarter.
And Nesmith was playing like Nesmith, like he invented the game. He was in a Steph flow state. It was insane. Matt, your favorite moment?
So, I mean, come on. Come on.
The choking symbol by
I don't care that it wasn't for the win. It counts with the overtime. That was my favorite. The Nesmith DHO is everything I love about basketball. With 22 seconds left, they ran a DHO because the Knicks are like, we're going to play Mitchell Robinson. What are you going to do now, small Pacers? And the Pacers are like, we're going to put him in every single action over and over and over again and make him cover in space. Nesmith comes over this DHO. Josh Hart is like screaming behind him, but Hart's shoes, for some reason, if you notice in the back half of this game, were slippery and he slips. Yeah. And so Nesmith's able to get that leaner three. That makes it 2 with 22 seconds to go. Like that play was like the one where it's like, oh God, they're going to do this. And the other one was Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin discarded by the Knicks with the double pump dunk off the sideline out of bounds play, again, involving Robinson in the action. To be the dagger. Oh, what a game. Amazing.
I mean, the three players that impacted that game the most, Haliburton, Nesmith, and Obi Toppin, all drafted in 2020. None of them drafted by the Indiana Pacers. All found their way to the Indiana Pacers via trade. My favorite moment, though, was the trajectory of Haliburton's game-tying shot. It just went so far into the air and took so long to come back down that you had time to just go, yeah, that's probably going in. I called it the ICBM shot. It was an intercontinental ballistic make by Tyrese Haliburton. It was amazing, and you won't find anyone happier or more stunned than Tony. Maybe not even stunned because he's seen it so many times. Let's go to Locked On Pacers host Tony East, who takes us through the anatomy of another historic Pacers comeback victory.
Never out of a game. You don't beat the Pacers. They just run out of time. Indiana Pacers, who have done what I would consider their comeback against the Bucks a once-in-a-lifetime game. I would have considered the comeback against the Cavs a once-in-a-lifetime game, and today they won up to both of them. Two things that make these possible. It takes Pacers taking advantage of every opportunity, and it takes the other team giving them a gift in some way that they have to take advantage of. There wasn't as much of that from the Knicks. They had
just like bad defense gifts.
Yes, they mostly just like missed one of two here or there. They just couldn't stop Aaron Nesmith. Tyrese Haliburton deserves the story because he hit the shot at the buzzer and did the Reggie thing and has done the final shot in all three of these. Like, that is the thing. But Nesmith's run was out of this world, like flow state, out of this world, unbelievable.
All right, so Locked On Knicks' Gavin Schall called it arguably the worst choke job in NBA history on the Knicks' part. I think it was factually the worst choke job in NBA playoff history. I'm not sure we can even debate that, so let's flip it around. And let me ask you this, Matt. Will this win be as memorable or more memorable than the 8 points in 9 seconds Reggie Miller win over the Knicks? Will anyone make a documentary about this comeback by the Pacers?
Oh man, yeah, because you want to be like, well, they haven't really won anything yet. I think they got to win the series, right? Like, you got to win the series, because otherwise it's just like, oh, remember that great game? Yeah, they lost anyway in 6 games. But if they go on to win and make the finals for the first time since the 90s, then absolutely, I think that there's going to be a documentary made. It was that incredible. It was that unlikely. It was that preposterous. It was filled with that much drama. It's a game that I'm going to remember forever, and that's really cool to know. Like, in the moment, like, it felt like in the playoffs again, Haize, like, we're watching all these games and just being like, this is history. This is absolutely ridiculously insane.
You have to win the series. That's the thing. You absolutely have to win the series, because if you don't, everybody's going to remember this game because it was fun, it was exciting, it was a great comeback. But if you don't win this series, it people are going to forget about it. So if they win this, there's going to be documentaries made about it. It's the Pacers. It's the Knicks. It was Madison Square Garden. He did the choking symbol afterwards. Like, yes, everything coming together. Yes, it's going to be a documentary on.
Can I provide a little bit of a counterweight? Can I be a little bit of a Debbie Downer here and say that I wish he would not have done the choke job thing, because maybe it's perfect for our current culture of just constantly rebooting things. But I just wish something unique would have come out of that, because then it can be its own moment. I feel like doing that made it part of that other moment, and it didn't get to become its own moment.
But I love paying tribute to that. Like, you have the all-time greatest Pacer in the building, in Reggie Miller on the call, pointing at you, and like afterward giving you the point. Like, that's. Honestly, I like that better, Doug, because we come from this LeBron era of like, I'm not going to do the dunk contest. Everyone's done it. I'm too cool for that. And all these guys being kind of too cool for the drama and all this type of stuff. Like, I was thinking this morning about why everybody, like, so many fan bases hate Haliburton versus, like, nobody hates, like, I don't mean to pick on him, but like, nobody really hates Jason Tatum. Like, nobody hates Jason Tatum. Nobody really hates Steph Curry, right? But like, Tyrese Haliburton leaning into this type of stuff, I think, is authentic. Like, he's willing to be part of that drama in that moment, and I love that about him.
No, I hear
this all came after him being named the most overrated player by his peers in the NBA. That's what makes it so great.
I know. I hear that. I'm just exhausted with the reboots. I just wanted it to be its own moment, and it became about another moment. But I hear you on all of those points. Let me ask another question. Is Aaron Nesmith, Haize, the best non-star weapon left in the playoffs? And I know Jalen Williams just made his first all-star appearance, but we can throw him into this discussion as well. Is he the best, Aaron Nesmith, best non-star weapon left in the playoffs?
I'm still going to give a lot of credit to Alex Caruso, because I think what he did, especially against the Nuggets in his time, like the possessions he had to guard Jokic, he has the chance to be. But Nesmith, with yesterday's performance, like 14 points out of a little over 20 on that run, like it was him. Like Tyrese Haliburton brought it home, but it was him. So he's made such a big impact for this team. He is such a good player. So I'd say it's either him, but I can also make a case for Caruso.
I mean, it's like half of the OKC. It's not even half. It's like 80% of the OKC roster. Like Caruso, Kaysen Wallace. Like Chet Holmgren's not a star yet. Chet Holmgren's averaging like 3 blocks per game. It's any number of those guys, I think, actually have to be in that conversation. But I would take Nesmith pretty high. It's really awesome to see this happening for a guy that, Boston ditched before they went on the title runs, or the finals runs rather. And to see him get this kind of opportunity, he was a young player that was such a good shooter and went through a huge shooting slump, and has come out on the other side as a crack shooter. And like, he hit those shots while also being the primary defender on Jalen Brunson last night. What a game, man.
All right, coming up, we're not done with this game. We're going to hear from Locked On Knicks, get their reaction, and ask if they're still the better team in this series, even though they're down 0-1, now have lost home court advantage. Plus, we dig through some of the offseason intel regarding Kevin Durant's situation in Phoenix. Could he stay in Phoenix? And the Sixers, they continue to debate what they want to do with that third overall selection. That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, they are at full throttle. If there's something beyond full throttle, that's where it is. Highlight dunks, wild momentum swings, and players showing up in huge moments. If you are locked into every game like we are here on this show, why not turn that energy into a win? FanDuel makes it super easy to get in on the action. I've been tracking playoff performances and jumping into same-game parlays based on how things unfold. If I see a player heating up mid-game, I'm adding a prop on the fly. You can even combine live bets as the game changes. There are just more ways to play smart and cash in. Right now, the Timberwolves up against the OKC Thunder. They are a 7.5-point dog tonight. We'll talk more with Locked On Wolves about how maybe they can make up some of that deficit. In the NBA draft, the third pick odds are out. Ace Bailey, the favorite, but VJ Edgecombe right behind him and Trey Johnson at plus 900. That's certainly going to be a debate. Here's the best part. If you're new to FanDuel, now's the perfect time. Sign up, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So why wait? Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. I want to go out to Locked On Knicks, Gavin Schall and the crew talking about this loss, 138-135 in overtime to Indiana. I mean, how do you recover mentally, physically from that? Let's hear from them.
Some of this guy go on Jalen Brunson too, man. Like, we give him all the flowers for all the good things that he does. And, you know, he had 43 points in this game. So it seems weird to be like, oh, Jalen Brunson really kind of screwed the pooch down the stretch of this game. But he did. He was the worst offender of grinding this offense to a halt down the stretch of this game, waving off screens, making stupid passes. Underreported thing, before OG Anunoby missed his free throws, Brunson made one of the most stupid, risky passes I think I've ever seen in my life.
But it wasn't all Brunson. It was twice Mikal Bridges. It was multiple times OG Anunoby, who also could not make a free throw, could not catch the ball offensively, could not hit an open shot. Down these guys who are all-world defenders, and for 40-plus minutes were spectacular. Yet they cannot grasp that they are capable of just a hard switch onto Aaron Nesmith. In no world do the Knicks deserve to win this game with the way they closed it.
Okay, Matt, so obviously a lot of blame to go around, but what do you think there about Alex's initial criticism of Jalen Brunson with the 43 points, but some of the late game decision-making, the passing, the driving into traffic? How much blame should go to Jalen Brunson for this loss?
All of that goes on Tom Thibodeau. All of it. All of it goes on Tom Thibodeau. Game plan was wretched here. Wretched. Why are you trying to run with the Pacers? Brunson made those mistakes at the end of the game because he was gassed. He was completely out of steam. And you could tell that on the air ball. The clutch player of the year, air balls, a shot like that. What is he suddenly just not clutch when he's hit so many clutch shots in the playoffs too? That's not the case. Like, there's zero reason to me for them to have tried to engage with the Pacers the way that they did. The Knicks were minus 3.9 in transition, plus minus per clean in the glass. What that means is that the Knicks were 3.9 per 100 possessions worse than an average half-court offense. Not the Knicks half-court offense, an average playoff half-court offense. That's how bad they were in transition. They got run out. They got gassed out. They tried to enter into a whizzing contest with the Pacers on, oh, we're going to run right back at you. We're better conditioned. Dude, you have a shorter rotation. What are you doing? That, to me, is why Brunson wound up in that spot, man. He had tried to carry too much with an isocentric style play. The Pacers attacked him on defense, Haize, and he ran out of gas. That's on Tibbs.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to make a play. I mean, he did make mistakes as all the Knicks did, but they were trying to make a play. And unfortunately, that just goes to one of the special natures of the Pacers. They refuse to go away. They've done that throughout this whole thing, and it can be frustrating for teams. So, you're going to have to figure out a way to close out a game. So, I agree with Matt. It was a lot on coaching there. The players did make some mistakes, and they do have to execute, but I can't get with blaming it all on Brunson. I just can't.
To be fair to Locked On Knicks, they've done a lot of blaming of Tom Thibodeau. I think they've got Tom Thibodeau blame fatigue, and they just had to redirect it to someone else. Okay, so you heard Gavin Schall there. They didn't deserve to win that game, Haize. But do the Knicks still have the better team that can recover from this and win this series?
Yeah, I think they can still recover. The series is not done yet. Like, let's be clear here. They were up by 14 points with 2 minutes left. More times than not, you're going to be able to win that game, right? So they played really well throughout this game and put themselves in a position to win it. It was something, hopefully, that's just going to be a one-time thing and historic for the Pacers to be able to come back in the way they did. I think I read a thing saying that in that situation in conference finals, like they're like the first team to lose double digits with 2 minutes left ever almost. So, keep doing what you did. I think you had a solid game plan enough for you. Got to refine some things, but I think they'll figure it out. They're gonna still make this series interesting. It's gonna go 7 games.
I laughed when Haize said, like, well, you were up by 17. Oh, how the tables have turned. The Celtics led by 20 in 4 games in that series versus the Knicks. And now the Knicks are finding out what it's like on the other side. I understand the Knicks had a better regular season in terms of wins, and they finished with the 3rd seed. I think the Pacers are better. I had the Pacers at 57% to win the series based off a betting model that I use to win this series. So, like, I've been on Pacers. I believe the Pacers are better. The Knicks, honestly, I looked at some of these stats. Like, the Pacers had a better half-court offense in the regular season, a better half-court defense in the regular season. The Pacers have a better half-court offense in the playoffs, and they're winning most of the 4 factors. And that's with the Pacers having played the Cleveland Cavaliers, the best offense in the league, versus whatever that Celtics team was. So I think the Pacers are better. I think they're going to win. You can't go too far. Like, there's temptation to be like, the Pacers could win this in 5. No, it's probably going to be a long series. Knicks are going to win at least 2 games. We're going to at least 6, but I like Pacers in 6 before the series started, and I like it Pacers in 6 now.
Haize mentioned that this has never happened. He's right. These stats courtesy of Kirthika Uthakumar on Blue Sky. NBA teams were 0-970 when down by 14 or more points. 0-970 in the final 250 of regulation in the playoffs. Over the last 27 postseasons, they are now 1-970. And since the 1998 playoffs, NBA teams are 4-1,661 when trailing by 7 or more in the last minute of the 4th or overtime. Indiana has 3 of those 4 wins out of more than 1,500 games.
Once in a lifetime.
Locked On Knicks said they have devil magic. And honestly, whether you believe in the devil or not, I think it's hard to not believe that. So
I saw Rick Carlisle dancing with the devil.
Is it Sinners now? That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. The NBA has a new most valuable player, and it is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder with his reaction.
I think he's the best two-way star that you have in the league because of how exceptional that his offense is and where his defensive floor is. There's not any player for my money that can do that in the NBA and fit into what the Thunder are doing, because you can have a good defense with a bad defender. You cannot have a historically great one with a bad defender. And Shai would get a lot more recognition for his level of defense if he wasn't flanked by, some of the best defenders in the world. Shai was just fantastic this season. It's a shame that, like, throughout the start of the morning and the afternoon, the biggest talking point around Shai and around this team was 1,000 free throws. And it shows why the NBA is in the spot that it's in, why the NFL is in the spot that it's in, and how the media is doing a horrendous job covering the NBA.
All right, Rylan, with some harsh words for the media coverage around this. Now, the MVP reveal came in the middle of the day after that game 1 against the Wolves. Matt, if the NBA announces the MVP, but no one is around to hear it, did it really happen?
It got leaked. What? You waited this long and then it gets leaked to ESPN's a scourge. It's a scourge. It is. I'm sorry. The pregame and halftime shows are about promoting their own content and starting their own controversies. Their key reporter leaks something that, look, we all knew it. It's not like any sort of surprise, but, like, at least give them that. Like, if you're going to wait that long, don't let this get out and get, what is the point? What is the point of this coverage? What is the point of any of this? I do not understand it, Haize. It ruins these kind of moments. I will say, from a positive perspective, go watch Shai's speech. His moment thanking his wife for what she means to him, like, that's why I love those MVP speeches, is when these players that are so great get to compliment the people that stand behind them, support them, and get them there. So that's like the awesome part of this. But God, I cannot wait for NBA on NBC and Amazon to balance out some of this nonsense.
This is what happens when you wait so long to announce the most valuable player of your league. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I like delaying it this long, and which is like a couple weeks behind when they usually do it. Like, yeah, it's going to leak out. If you give Shams an opportunity, it's going to absolutely get leaked out. So the NBA has to get something together for this. Like, it just felt like it didn't feel like it was the moment that it deserved, and that it could have been had you announced it on a day where at least the Thunder played or something like that. But I guess the NBA knows what they're doing.
The league used to have like restrictions on. They used to be like, you didn't leak the draft picks. Like, you don't do that. You do not tweet those draft picks. Now Woj was doing it because Woj was at Yahoo and he was like, I don't care, right? But then he goes to ESPN and there's still this like competition. So Woj is doing it anyway alongside Shams a little bit. And so now we're in this situation. But now Shams is working for, like, there's nobody left. There's no one left to compete with. Like, you're a league partner. Like, they're a partner of yours, NBA. Have some influence here. This is like the player empowerment era, but for reporters tweeting transactions 30 seconds before a press release. What's happening?
Okay, well, there's no one to compete with Shams right now, but I do have this question of who will compete with Shai next season for MVP. Is this a one-off for Shai, or is this the first of multiple MVPs for him? I'll ask Matt and Haize that on the other side. Plus, we'll have a Thunder Wolves preview from Locked On Wolves, and we'll talk more about some of this offseason intel. That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every single day. So, SGA is the MVP, but will he be the MVP again before he hangs it all up? Haize, is this the first of multiple awards for Shai, or is this a Dirk, Westbrook, Harden, one magical season kind of deal?
No, I mean, he was runner-up last year. I think that it's reasonable to say that he's going to be in running for MVPs for a while. I think he's going to, as long as he's in his prime, he's going to be in the running for MVP. So yeah, you're going to see him again here next year. I think that he's going to be on that ballot for a while to come because Shai's just that good of a player. He's on a team that's always going to get noticed at this point in time. They're deep, they're well coached, they're a really good team, and Shai has that type of personality as well that people want to watch SGA play basketball. So I don't think this is going to be a one-off. We're going to see, I would say, at least one more MVP from Shai over the next 3 years.
Shai's amazing. I wrote 5,000 words on why he's the MVP at my Substack. I have done the work. I can tell you lots about his game. He's incredible. This is the last MVP he's ever going to win. Period. End dot. Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, probably not Cooper Flagg. Maybe Cooper Flagg. But Luka and Victor Wembanyama are going to own the next decade. That's what's going to happen. Maybe we get another throw in from Anthony Edwards or another team there. Think about this. The Thunder won, 68 games, and yet like this was in doubt where it was like, like this is just the reality of it. Is one, Shai is not, I don't think he's ever going to shape the game the way other guys do. He won this award because of the team success, and I think he deserved it. I think he's a completely deserving player. But if you rack up his individual contributions and the way that he shapes the game relative to these other guys, Jokic, Giannis, who honestly are too old, nobody wins it over 30 anymore, but these other guys coming up, it's just not going to stack up. So it's going to be Wembanyama. It's going to be Luka. It's going to be, I think, other guys. I think this is the one MVP that Shai's going to get. He'll be on the ballot, though, for sure, for the next 5 years.
And Giannis might not win it again, but he could steal some votes potentially if he goes to another team and improves them dramatically. That could just be another. I think it is going to be difficult. I don't think it's out of the question, but I think it will be more difficult than people are giving it credit for. All right, let's talk about Game 2 tonight. Thunder against the Wolves. The Wolves are going to try to battle back after getting suffocated by OKC's interior defensive strategy, but it's a strategy that Locked On Wolves host Ben Beacon thinks is built on a gamble, one that might not pay off for Minnesota tonight.
OKC's game plan is allowing corner threes and not allowing attempts at the rim, which makes, if you're going to pick one or the other, that makes some sense. if you could trust your length, your athleticism, your speed to get out and contest those corner threes. And OKC does trust that, and it has worked to the tune of a 68-win season and a phenomenal defense throughout the season. But is Minnesota the exception to the rule in terms of their ability to make threes? Well, in game one, it wasn't, and OKC won out. I bet over the course of a 7-game series, Minnesota certainly has more shooters. There's no question about that. Minnesota remains one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. And Ant and Randall are really good at finding corner shooters in general. And Minnesota, again, attempted a ton of corner threes, nearly 1 in 4 of their three-point attempts. If they make a couple more corner threes, this is a completely different game. And if OKC, this is their strategy. This is what they do. And they're not necessarily going to be as lucky as they were in this game about Minnesota missing as many as they did.
Okay, what do you think about the analysis there, Haize, from Ben Beacon? Should OKC dare the Wolves to shoot again, or should they switch things up tonight defensively?
No, I mean, I think you keep the game plan the same until they prove otherwise. And I think Coach D is good enough to make an adjustment in game. So I think you still bet on and try to make the Minnesota Timberwolves shoot their way back into this game. And if they do, great. If not, okay. I think that you keep that game plan, though, until you have to adjust it.
Nobody's made them adjust yet. Nobody's forced them to do this. The Nuggets didn't have the shooters in volume or percentage. So there's a real, I think, question here of can the Wolves actually force them out of it? They'll stick with it no matter what. Like, they've proven that they're going to do this over and over and over again because nobody's punished them for it. I do think Minnesota, look, I like Minnesota in game one, going right back to it. I think Minnesota wins tonight exactly because of this reason. I do not think that you can allow corner threes at this rate and hold up. I just don't. I will not. You're going to have to show me that you can do this with voodoo magic to make open shooters miss this routinely from high percentage looks from high percentage shooters. So, yeah, I think OKC is going to stick with it. I don't think they should. I think you should adapt to personnel, but it's worked. I'm just hoping that the Wolves can find a way to actually make them pay for it and put OKC in that uncomfortable position because that's where things get interesting.
All right, let's move to some off-season intel from Jake Fisher. He's writing for the Steinline Substack now, and he's putting out a banger intel article every single week. I'll put the link to his latest in the show notes. Matt and Haize, grab your tackle boxes, rod and reels. We're going to do something that we do often on the Locked On Hornets podcast. We're going to go fishing into some of these reports. And when you go fishing, the question always is, do you keep it or do you throw it back? So I'll tell you what these teams are reportedly thinking, according to Jake Fisher, and you tell me if you would keep that idea or throw it back in the river. The Sixers seem to be leaning into the idea of 2 timelines. They are open to trading down from the number 3 overall selection, but are not interested in moving out of the first round entirely. They want to put another young player alongside Maxey and McCain to help support the older Embiid-Paul George combo. Haize, are you keeping that or are you throwing it back?
I'm going to keep it, and surprisingly, I'm going to keep it mainly because I do think because you have McCain, because you have Maxey, you can start having a young core here that when you finally come to the realization that it's time to move on from Embiid, you've already started doing some of the groundwork there. Any other case, I'd say throw it back, but just because they already have promising young players there, I'll keep it.
Just my sign here. Days since Haize has said the Sixers need to trade Embiid. Okay, got it. I think they should trade the pick for get San Antonio with the 14th pick into a 3-way deal involving the 3rd, where you pick up multiple role players who can help you now and reinforce your regular season, get off of the Paul George contract, move that for multiple players so that you have this infrastructure that can survive in both the non-Embiid minutes and in the games where Embiid's going to be out. Build an entirely different team using the Paul George contract. You can't have 3-star players. Use the Paul George contract and the number 3 pick and reconfigure your team to compete right now. I understand how valuable that 3rd pick is, although it's, no offense, it's supposed to be Ace Bailey. So I think there's an opportunity here to pick up the Spurs number 14 pick, find a team that wants to take Paul George, and then move assets both to Philly and to San Antonio to help them with their buildup, because they probably don't need both the 2nd and the 14th, but they could definitely use the 3rd. So I think there's an opportunity there to kind of shift things along.
All right, so Haize is keeping it. He's throwing it on the grill. And Matt, you're throwing it back. You're saying that's not a big enough fish. All right, let's cast our lines back out. And we're catching a Phoenix Sun and their new general manager, Brian Gregory. They're not out on, completely out at least, on KD, Kevin Durant, remaining with the Suns and have not yet met with KD to discuss his future. The idea of holding on to KD, Matt, are you keeping that or are you throwing it back?
I think I'm keeping it. Look, the future is so bad. What are you going to get for Durant at this age that is going to help you reset things? You can't. You owe your picks to the Rockets. You need to try and make good now because your future is screwed. So, you need to try and win now. If KD's willing to stay, that team shouldn't have failed as badly as it did last season. Try and make it work again. Of a list of bad options, keeping KD and running it back might honestly not be the worst idea.
I'm throwing it back. KD has been a part of now 2 failed super teams. It's done. I get the idea of keeping him and trying to make it work because you can't. If you can't make it work, great. It could be good. But at this point, because you don't have assets, I'm not even. It's not just KD at this point either. It's Devin Booker too. I'm looking to clear the deck, restart anew, get as many assets as I can back. I think this thing has been messed up so bad that there's no way that you can legitimately salvage it. The little bit of glimmer of hope that KD and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are going to figure it out the next year to try to work it out. It is alluring. There is something to be said about that's enticing, but I'm over it. I'm not. I don't even just throw it back. Matter of fact, I'm going to a whole different pond to fish at that point in time.
Oh no, he's getting out of the boat. Haize, come back. He's swimming away. All right, the sun is going down, but we got time to cast our lines one more time. Here we go. Oh, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, Jrue fish. Jrue Holiday is a prime candidate to be shed by the Boston Celtics for cap relief, according to Jake Fisher, but it might be tough. Fisher writes this: multiple rival executives have passed along that for all of Holiday's unquestioned championship know-how after contributing to title teams in Milwaukee and Boston, some form of incentive like draft compensation might have to be attached to Holiday's contract. So, Haize, if a team demands a future first for the trouble of taking Jrue Holiday on, should the Celtics keep the conversation going or send it back?
I think you should try to keep it going because you can add some. If you can add some protections to the pick that make it less likely to convey, especially if you choose your path. I would keep it. I still would look into trading Jrue Holiday because it's not worth having a $500 million salary cap bill next year with luxury tax payments to hold on to Jrue Holiday when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are probably going to have off-season surgeries.
Logan Murdoch of The Ringer reported that the Warriors are going to have interest in Holiday. Now, I don't know how that's going to work in terms of making the money work, and I don't know what this looks like, but my first thought was, what if you were able to pull off a Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade for Jrue Holiday? And that way the Celtics get a younger player that they can build around next year and then possibly move off of if they have to. I don't know if that's going to get the Celtics enough salary relief for them to be satisfied. But if you're able to offer the Warriors, hey, we'll give you a pick and Jrue Holiday for Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors are going to be like, yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can do that.
All right, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. By the way, thank you, Matt and Haize. That was a great fishing trip. Appreciate it. That was good. You were good boat buddies.
Got my koozie.
Yay. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, they'll be recapping Thunder Wolves. Check that out. Enjoy our beautiful game tonight. Be kind to each other. We'll see you right back here tomorrow to wrap up an insane week of NBA basketball on Locked On NBA.